Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're unpacking some seriously highly anticipated changes coming to the undisputed king of luxury SUVs. If you follow the automotive market, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the Lexus RX. We've got some fantastic source material to dive into today that maps out exactly what Lexus is planning for this mid-cycle refresh. It's just a really fascinating look at how a top-tier automaker maneuvers to stay on top.
So, how exactly does the undisputed king of luxury SUVs defend its crown? Well, the answer is a highly anticipated and deeply strategic facelift. I want you to think of this not just as, standard car news, but as a reigning heavyweight champion fiercely preparing to defend its title. In the automotive world, sitting at the top puts a massive target on your back, and a mid-cycle facelift is exactly how a brand sharpens its weapons to fend off those ambitious challengers.
Section 1. The heavyweight luxury champion. Let's explore this total dominance by the Lexus RX.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the upcoming changes, we really have to grasp why this specific vehicle matters so incredibly much. Look, you hear a massive amount of boasting from heavy-hitting German rivals, right? BMW, Mercedes. They constantly tout the prowess of their X5 and GLE models, and honestly, they usually dominate the flashy headlines. But the hard sales data tells a totally different story. The Lexus RX just effortlessly outpaces them both. It maintains this iron grip on the buying public that the competition just can't seem to break.
And this consistent sales dominance actually makes perfect sense when you realize Lexus literally invented this segment. The RX was the very first vehicle to ever offer a luxury midsize crossover experience to the market. They created the whole blueprint. The current generation, which launched in 2022 for the 2023 model year, picked up exactly where the previous generation left off. According to our sources, it maintained that sales lead with relatively little effort, mainly because it's just such a hugely competent choice in its class.
All right, moving on to Section 2, when to expect it. Let's take a look at the timeline.
So it's time to build a little bit of insider excitement here, because the clock is definitely ticking. The current generation RX is approaching 4 model years old. And, in the fast-paced automotive world, at 4 years of age, a vehicle is absolutely due for a refresh to keep its momentum going against those challengers. Technology moves fast, design trends shift, and hitting that 4-year mark, an update is pretty much mandatory.
So when exactly is the big reveal? Well, Lexus isn't putting out any official teasers just yet, but we've got some great insider scoop energy here from the Japanese publication Motor Fan. They claim this facelift will be revealed as early as the end of this year or as late as the first quarter of 2027. Since we still have a good chunk of the current year left, there is plenty of time for Lexus to start dropping some official hints.
Okay, so what does this roadmap actually mean for you? Well, if you're trying to decide whether to buy right now, wait for a refresh, or maybe hold out for a totally new car, here's your timeline. Q4 2026 is the earliest possible reveal, stretching to Q1 2027 at the absolute latest. And based on this schedule, our sources project a totally next-generation model wouldn't arrive until around 2030 for the all-new RX.
That brings us to Section 3, the exterior design clues. Let's talk spy shots and rumors. Recently, prototypes of the updated RX have been spotted testing on roads around Europe. But here's what's kind of funny about it. Lexus is treating the new front bumper like an absolute state secret. It is completely covered head to toe in camouflage. Yet curiously, they're parading these prototypes around with the headlights completely out in the open. Our source notes that, while calling it a major facelift might be a stretch on the outside, there is definitely something visibly new hiding under all that camo.
Now, what's really interesting is comparing what we expect to see with recent moves across the rest of the Lexus lineup. The RX will likely ape the new aesthetic and styling direction that was kicked off by the ES sedan. We can also look to the revamped IS for clues on how Lexus is going to change the RX's nose. Our source points out that while it will adopt this new design language, it might stop just short of that fully grille-less look we've seen on some of their other models. It's a really careful balancing act, right? Modernizing the look without alienating their massive, traditional buyer base.
Moving right along to Section 4, upgrades inside the cabin.
A facelift in the car world is often a lot cheaper than one in Beverly Hills, but it actually packs the biggest, most impactful upgrades right on the inside, which makes sense because that's exactly where you, the driver, spend all of your time. We're expecting interior elements pulled directly from the redesigned ES, centered around a brand new touchscreen with a much enhanced user interface. But here is a crucial takeaway for buyers. The powertrains are expected to carry over exactly as they are. So you get the smarter, fresher daily tech, but you keep those trusty, bulletproof engines that Lexus is so famous for.
And all of this leaves us with one overarching provocative question. Will this facelift be enough to keep the RX on top of the luxury SUV world? They're bringing in fresh ES-inspired styling and updating the vital interior tech, but leaving the mechanicals alone. Has the reigning heavyweight champion done enough to hold on to its crown against that relentless pressure from German rivals? It's a highly calculated strategy, and we are definitely going to be watching to see how the market responds when the covers finally come off.